So, Aatish, thank you for joining us here today. I guess it is your conference, and I must say congratulations.
It is Zycus' conference, yes.
Well, unless we have a founder and a CEO, there is no conference. So I know that your clients here in the room have been very touched that you are here listening to them. And I must say that a lot of the stories have been very positive. It's very exciting to see AI in action, Agentic AI in action with procurement, and it just being so accessible, because over the years, I've become to understand just how important procurement's reputation is with the business, with the systems they use. In a way, procurement's reputation is the system.
It is.
Yeah. So to have a system that we've seen here over the last 2 days that is so user-friendly, so engaging for stakeholders and end users is amazing. So congratulations.
No, I think that's a very good point to make, Tanya, because procurement is identified by the rest of this company as, the people and the systems and the processes which are there. I think with SaaS, which was, 15, 20 years back, procurement got an uplift. But with Agentic AI, there's an opportunity for procurement to really be at the forefront, because it doesn't need a lot of IT involvement. There's a lot of opportunity, especially within procurement. If you read general media, it is contract management, procurement, is really ripe for a lot of the Agentic AI, for doing all the multi-step processes which we have.
Yes, which is the way we explain it all. But of course, our customers out in the business just want to ask in natural language, I need this, I need that. And it really is amazing to see Zycus just coming back, answering those questions and making sure that they're following the right, compliant processes. Yes. One of the things you said yesterday when you're presenting was that really AI is like the next industrial revolution.
It is.
And that really caught my attention. And I thought, would you like to share that with our audience today?
Yes, I would. Yeah. So I think people compare, AI to, like a worst case of blockchain, correct, which came and then just kind of, went down, or the internet, or even, the PC which came in. But I think AI is much, much bigger than that. I think we have not seen something like this in more than a century, because you had, the industrial revolution, which really replaced muscle, correct? The people, whether it's animal power or human muscle power, it replaced that over there.
Yes.
And the same thing is going to happen with a lot of, the low level, reasoning tasks which are being done, which AI will start doing over there. So it is scary, but it can be very exciting, because it allows, us, whether it is procurement professional or humans, to really get to our potential, really get to doing things creatively, imaginatively, and with leadership over there. So I think it's going to completely reshape in the next 20 years, how entire economies really work.
And I think that was one of the final points from AJ Carlino, who was the former CPO of Victorian Police. We asked the question on the stage just then at Zycus Horizon in Australia, what's the one thing that will change? And he said, there's 3 things, strategy, engagement, and compliance. So I think these are the things that procurement will be able to get on and do when they're not answering questions and assisting the stakeholders. So look, there's a lot of terminology. I think we have said genetic AI, probably how many agentic, I should say, probably 1 million times at this conference.
Yes.
But, could you please explain for us the difference between AI, generative AI, autonomous, and how Zycus's product has evolved?
Sure. So let me explain. First of all, at the foundation, you have generative AI, correct? You have these LLMs, all of us use in our personal lives, whether it's ChatGPT, you ask questions, correct? So that's the foundation for Agentic AI. Agentic AI is not something which is different than generative AI. It sits on top of generative AI. And the analogy I gave was, you had, the steam engine coming in, correct? But then to harness that power, you had motors and assembly lines in the factory, which were using that raw power which is there. So the same analogy over here, where Agentic AI sits on top of the LLM. Now, how is it different for you as a practitioner? So if you look at, if you just look at Copilot, correct? You can query a document, you can, generate an RFP and so on. but it cannot get you to an outcome. So as humans, when we go towards an outcome, we do multiple steps, correct? So if you have to, really source a category, correct? You're going to analyze the category, you're going to find suppliers, you're going to, write an RFP, you're going to execute that RFP, you'll review the RFP. Now, Agentic AI will do all these steps. So it is like one agent handing it over to the other agent saying, okay, my work is done, here is the RFP, now send it over to the suppliers. So the difference in Agentic is it actually mimics the way humans deliver an outcome. Okay? We don't do one thing, we do a series of things, to really get to an outcome. So that's what Agentic AI really does. And it is nothing but using the power of generative AI, to get to business outcomes.
And I think we saw that yesterday with the amazing demonstration. The RFQ agent handed over to the negotiation agent, and they had a conversation with each other, just like, we would. But it's just great to see it happening and just flowing so quickly. And we'll talk later about the org design and how we could have so many agents working for us if we're ready for it. Now, intake. Everyone's talking intake and orchestration, and I think you've described it as the front door to procurement. Do you want to elaborate a little bit more on that?
I think intake has always been, underserved, and if procurement, the image which you create within the rest of the organization is how you interact with them, correct? So people interact with procurement when they need something. Now, if you have a system which makes it very easy for them, so they are not daily procurement users. They don't know the policies, they don't know the guidelines and so on, correct? They'll get frustrated if you put them through that process. So at one end, intake helps in the entire ease of use and adoption. But at the same time, what you are getting as procurement is you are enforcing your policies. You want them to go to a certain buying channel, you want to go them to certain suppliers and so on. So the AI is really reading your policies. And so they don't have to really interact with, procurement a lot, and it just guides them through the entire process. Now, what that means for procurement is you get compliance, and you also get a lot of time to focus on strategic items, rather than answering, queries about some tactical purchases. So intake is something which is really kind of, changing how procurement is viewed within the organization, and also, getting much, that holy grail of, guided procurement, it's getting us closer to that.
Yeah, and really it's probably what we've been talking about from the start is how do we make it user-friendly? How do we have natural questions about buying? And, this is really, now we've got a word for it, intake. Now, what about another technical term, the difference between sort of bolt-on AI and built-in AI? One of your team spent time explaining it to me yesterday, and I think it'd be great for our audience to also know.
So first, let me explain the terms, bolt-on versus built-in. So you have systems. So you have, let's say, a source-to-pay system. You could bolt on some AI systems on top, correct? Whether it is for contracts, whether it is for intake, whether it is for supplier risk. The challenge with a bolt-on, and I'll come to built-in. Built-in is if you have a source-to-pay provider, correct? Not all the solutions, there would still be solutions outside. But if a majority of the solutions are from a single provider, as a source-to-pay provider, we have much greater access to the data which is there within the system. And that would not be available to an agent which is outside over there. So I think the advantage of a built-in is you just have deeper access to the data. So you need a lot of data to make decisions. You need to know whether what has been your historical spend, what has been your historical performance, what have been the line rates, what have been the missed invoices, and so on. And AI really needs that information, which is why we strongly feel that built-in would work really well as opposed to bolt-on systems. Bolt-on systems people use for legacy ERP solutions. It's a temporary bandage because you are still not going to get the benefit of AI by just having a bolt-on on your ERP system.
Yes, I think someone, and I know you're a gentleman and don't talk about your competitors, but there are a lot of products out there that have a fairy dust, a bit of sprinkling of dust on an LM foundation, whereas you've got a foundation layer, which is like your ERP that you're actually building on. But I think in yesterday's demonstration, you showed that with your app Extend, you can actually also pull in data,
Yes,
from Dun
yes,
& Bradstreet and others. So there is that capability
Yes,
still.
See,
So you've got the hard
Yes,
foundation
yes.
layer, and then you can bring
See,
this in.
none of us is an island, correct? So even if we say it is, source to pay from Zycus or part of it over there, you still have a lot of systems outside, correct? Whether it is supplier risk, whether it is, third party, risk management. So all of those really have to be got within the system over there. So we have App Extend, which can connect to multiple systems. And now we are extending our agents also. So agents can talk obviously deeply with Zycus systems, but if it needs to go to an EcoVadis and get sustainability information, it can get that information and take in and use that as part of the entire reasoning flow over there. So it's not going to be an island. We are also going to connect to other systems. Obviously, it will be deeper within Zycus, but from the outside, you still get the information, and then you have a complete picture to be able to take a decision.
Oh, sounds great. Now, everyone's talking about AI negotiation.
Yes.
I know a lot of people are threatened, like, well, that's my core skill as a procurement professional. But, is it real? Is it happening? We would love to, know particularly what Zycus is offering in that space.
And first, I would say, your core skill as procurement is not negotiation. That is what, the entire organization says, I'll give it to procurement to negotiate that extra, 2% or 4% on it. But that's not your job over there, correct? That is part of the job. Obviously, you need to make sure that you're getting the right, value for the price which you're paying over there. But procurement has to really look at resiliency. How do you really make sure that supply chains are resilient? How to really get involved with the business stakeholders right at the beginning rather than at the end. So negotiation over there, obviously, if it is strategic and complex, if you're doing a $100 million buy, obviously procurement will be involved over there and it will be complex negotiation. But for simple negotiations, when you're just going out for 3 quotes and, just kind of playing off one vendor, everybody does it in the personal life also, correct? There's nothing special about you over there in doing it. And there's no extra value of using your skills over there to get a 2% on a $10,000 purchase over there. So I think negotiation, we have to kind of let it go and start at the bottom, correct? There are a lot of stuff which, should not be done by you.
Absolutely.
And then you just kind of, go higher and higher up in the value chain. So obviously, if it is complex stuff, you'll negotiate, not just on price, you'll negotiate on, 20 different parameters. That's what you should be doing. But low-end negotiation where it is, 1 or 2 parameters, price and in delivery time, let an agent do it, correct? Free up your time for more strategic stuff, and that should change the image of procurement within the organization also. Because later on, these agents could be given to the business user. They don't even have to interact with procurement. I need to buy something, the agent is going to help you. Okay, you need help on a complex buy. Then you partner with procurement and do it.
Yes, And how empowered will your stakeholders be, feeling like they can negotiate their own small contracts? But absolutely, and we've been talking about this, the more we can get freed up from these repetitive rules-based tasks, the more strategic we can be, working on the big projects, influencing, being a real commercial leader within the business. So it is critical. Now, just before, when we were talking about, one of our great conversations, we talked about the amount of spend and data that you have within the system. And I imagine for the amount of time you've been operating now, you've got trillions of dollars of spend of data. Can you talk to that and also the benefit that it brings to your clients?
See, I think it's a benefit as well as a responsibility, because one thing we do ensure that we do not share anything which is there with one customer with other customer over there. But the benefit which we get is AI is trained to look at patterns. What are the patterns in different categories? What is the let's say for a certain category, what should be the ideal number of suppliers if there's a certain amount of spend, correct? So that's just getting statistics really out of that. And if you look at AI, correct, AI really runs on a lot of data, correct? The LLMs gather a lot of data from the internet. We have a lot of data internally, and we take statistics from that, which really helps us, whether you're doing, sourcing negotiation, or whether you are, figuring out in contract what are the most common, terms which are used in your industry, or the more common clauses which are used over there. So what we do is we use statistics from the data which we have to really help, our AI agents in their decision-making power.
Oh, brilliant. Now, I did touch on the organisation chart, and I know this is a lot that our community will be interested in. What do you see the org chart of a procurement organisation, say, 2 years from now?
So I think if I look at the organization chart, and there was something I read which kind of just resonated with me. I think with AI, the number of layers are going to flatten. So you're going to have a strategy layer, you'll have an execution layer, which is a manager really managing, and then you have a lot of individual contributors contributing. Now these individual contributors, because the layer is flat and they have more work to do, they'll have multiple different agents which are really helping them on that. So the humans come in over there for the strategic task, correct, which cannot be offloaded to the bots. But you would also come in over there to really have a human in the loop, correct? There should be some decisions which would really require your input over there. So I think what's going to happen is for every role there would be agentic flows which would be available over there, and it is the job of procurement. So I would encourage procurement to really go out and understand how agents really work, because tomorrow they are going to be your team members, correct? You're going to manage them, so you need to know how to set up the policy, how to do the guardrails, how do you at what point do you really want the decision making to be verified by you. So I think agents are going to be the same way we are using Word, Excel now, correct? The same way you're going to have multiple agents working for you. So we need to really understand how to manage them.
Absolutely. Well, that'll be a new skill set that we have to learn.
Yes.
Agent management. I guess something more that's really caught my eye at the conference was you've published a report that talks about how procurement shouldn't delegate AI and that AI should not be delegated to IT. So do you want to elaborate on that as well? Because that's a real key message.
See, I think any technology is best leveraged and understood if you have a big stake in it, correct? So, business has always been in the best position to, really figure out what technology makes sense for them and how to get full value out of the technology. Long time back, it used to be given to IT because it was very technical and you would not understand it. It already changed with SaaS and cloud, correct? So I think in most organizations we see it is procurement really, managing, the sourcing application, the source-to-pay applications, and, IT coming in for security and so on, which is their specialty. The same thing will now have to continue for AI. AI is also very easy for you to use and leverage. So I think the same thing is going to happen with AI. So AI is very easy for you to use and leverage, correct? Because AI has a lot of intelligence. It does not need a lot of technical setup. Obviously, it will need again a cyber security clearance, because you need to make sure that AI stays within the guardrails, because there's a tendency it can go out of that. But besides that, it has to be procurement leaders, because you know exactly what value you can get out of it. And obviously, if you go to IT, you will be in queue. I'm sure your CEO has given IT multiple projects on on the biz or on operations or on sales or product design, correct, to really work on. So I think you should not be delegating AI to IT, and you would be in the best position to get value out of it.
Absolutely. Fantastic. Okay, we always like to give our community news they can use. So if you're a CPO or a procurement professional out there, what advice would you give them to do in the next 2 weeks?
See, in the next 2 weeks, and I mentioned that in my session also, with AI, get your hands dirty. Just like I met a CPO who said, I just created a common GPT where all the RFP documents, the sourcing documents, everybody's collaborating on one common GPT. It takes half an hour to set up, but you get a taste of AI. I think you get everybody into AI. So I think be agile, and AI is very easy to really pilot also. So just start piloting at a small scale. Don't create grand designs over there. Get a feel of how AI really works by just doing it. Just do it.
One of our great speakers said, give your team 5 to 8 hours a week just to play with the tools and start understanding. So very consistent advice there. Thank you so much for inviting me to Horizon. I've thoroughly enjoyed it and I've loved getting to know more about Zycus.
Thanks, it's my pleasure, and continue doing your good work. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.